Hey everyone, what's up? It's me, lo-fi musician and producer, Blue Sirens. This is where I hang out on the internet and talk about anything related to music. It can be anime, comics, books, gear, whatever it is, you can find it here. Today, I want to talk to you about another Pharrell Williams documentary. Now, before I dive in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And this documentary that Pharrell Williams is doing is based on his childhood, but it recently was scrapped, and I kind of think rightfully so. So a couple weeks ago, I did a review of the Piece by Piece documentary that Pharrell Williams did based on his life, and it's all using Lego pieces, which props to him for using animation. I think it appealed to a large audience, especially kids, but it was just okay. Like, it was very PG-13, and I think there's more serious things that have happened in his life, probably things with higher stakes, and we didn't really see those in that documentary, which is fine, because I think this is something he really did for his kids and try to have a broad appeal for it. And also, like, Lego's hot, and he made his own Lego set out of it. But it was recently come to light through a Variety article that he was doing another documentary about his early childhood, and that was scrapped, and it's not going to see the light of day. And probably rightfully so, because even in the Piece by Piece documentary, there is a lot of importance put on his early life and where he grew up and his grandma and how his family influenced him. But that was kind of like maybe like the first 20 minutes of the documentary, and everything else was like, his career, which is what we really wanted to see. And I also can't tell if it's a documentary that's, dramatized a bit, or if we're trying to like do interviews and things like that, kind of like how it was in Piece by Piece. So I just don't think it needed to happen per se. And Pharrell, he's done a lot of stuff, and I think even in the Piece by Piece documentary, he says, sometimes I do things because I think it's cool, but maybe I don't do it for the right reasons. And sometimes he's done stuff where people have let him down a path thinking it's going to be great, but it's not really what he wants to do. And so I think this was that latter. Like, yeah, he may think it's cool, and it maybe isn't what he needs to do right there and then, but it's more the latter part of maybe someone's trying to have him do it that he doesn't think he actually needs to do it, but they're trying to make it look like it's cool, you're gonna make money, it's gonna be good for you, but his heart isn't in it like it was for Piece by Piece. But again, Piece by Piece also, it cost like $16 million to make and only made $10 million worldwide. Like, that's not a lot of money, and it wasn't like a high budget movie either, but still, you wanted to cover your costs at the very least. So I just don't think this documentary really needed to be made at all, at least for a couple years, because like Piece by Piece just became available to rent like last month. So there's no urgency for this movie at all. So that being said, I'm glad Pharrell was like, hey, let's not do this. Maybe he'll come back later on. Maybe it's a lesson he'll learn. Maybe he got something out of it, like directing or something that will help him make someone else's movie, because it kind of seems like he's really in that production seat, more of helping other people make their work. So it got me thinking, if we're not going to get a Pharrell Williams documentary anytime soon, because we obviously just got Piece by Piece, what other musicians do we want to see a documentary about? And obviously what came to my mind very first off is a Kendrick Lamar documentary. I think that would be great. He's playing the Super Bowl. There's all this stuff kind of going on with, it's over, I'd say, but it's still kind of lingering, the feud he had with Drake. Even just a small documentary about this feud that's going on between him, Drake, and J. Cole got out of it early. A documentary about that would be cool. And maybe that's something that's going to happen in like 3 years, because we're still feeling the after effects of that feud with Kendrick winning 5 Grammys and Drake suing him. So we'll see where that goes in the future. I think it also would have been cool if we got something maybe from Jay-Z, and he's also like under all this stuff with Diddy, so maybe nothing like that will happen soon. But I personally just don't think I've seen a lot of Jay-Z documentaries. If there's a documentary for either one of those artists, drop those down below. But there are plenty of other people we could do documentaries on that. We just don't have any of them at the moment. I feel like we haven't really focused on artists that have come out maybe like in the last 10-15 years and done a documentary on them. We still are doing documentaries on like people that were big, and like obviously the 80s there was a Motley Crue documentary recently in the last 5 years that came out. Maybe stuff in the 90s we've done a lot of stuff on, but like last 10-15 years haven't really done a ton of documentaries, and that might be because we do a lot of these tour movies, like the Eras Taylor Swift tour movie, and like Beyonce had her movie of the tours, and that's the documentary, and like that that is the show. We're watching the concert, it's the movie made out of the concert. But I just don't really think in the last 10-15 years those artists that have come out, we've done documentaries on them, and maybe they just don't have that level of status with the population to say, oh, I would love to go see a documentary on some of these artists that have gotten big in the last 10-15 years. Taylor Swift, I think, is definitely the exception. But in the last 10-15 years, I don't know. I don't really think of anybody that I'm like, yeah, I would love to see a documentary on them. I think one that just came to mind that would actually be interesting and great is actually Skrillex, because he has a history. Before he was Skrillex, he was in a rock band. I can't remember what the name of the band was, but he has a longer history in music than what just his career as Skrillex is. And I think there have been a couple of documentaries over some, Avicii after his passing, some other DJs, but they're kind of escaping me from what I can remember at the moment. And we just haven't had like documentaries of people in music that are like rather recent, or if we have, they're so narrowly focused on just one project they've done that it's like, how do we get a good sense of who this person is just from this? I know Kanye West had a documentary. I haven't seen it. I don't even know where I could find it, or if I'd want to watch it based on what has kind of happened with him in the last couple years. So I think there's a good opportunity for us to, get less Pharrell Williams documentaries, which it's just not going to happen, and find artists that have come out in the last 10-15 years and do a documentary about them, either things that have happened to them in the past, maybe artists from like the early 2000s. I would definitely watch a pop punk documentary following bands, like Green Day or Fall Out Boy or All American Rejects, something like that, to kind of like be like, hey, what happened to all those bands? Because that was a movement, and it's still kind of going on, but it just blew up then. And there's lots of other opportunities for other documentaries for like lo-fi music, and it was Jay Dilla's birthday recently, and I haven't seen a Jay Dilla documentary in a minute, or heard of one, period. But most people that are in the lo-fi have read Dilla Time, and Detroit made his birthday like a holiday for them. Not like a paid holiday, but they declare that his birthday will be like donut day. So that's a great opportunity right there. I think we could do a lot of things with documentaries, and I know it costs time and money, but if we're not going to get this one from Pharrell, which good reason not to, I think we can take some learns from that Piece by Piece documentary, and maybe whatever he learned from that, and get some more documentaries and build some more hype around some more artists. But what do you think? There's a ton of artists out there that probably are deserving of documentaries and just haven't been given one yet. Is there one from the 2000s or the 2010s that you'd like to see a documentary about, or from pretty much any other time period? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.